And now we come to DM Insights, which everybody will talk about. And this is one of the other things which has just appeared on the scene in the last month. And the analogy I would use for DM Insights is, if you think back to in the past when you had a problem with your car. You brought your car, whether it was electric or Tesla or diesel or petrol or whatever, you brought it into the garage, and the mechanic would take the gloves out, put on the gloves, start the engine, lift the bonnet and start the engine, and he'd listen to it and he'd check a few things, and then he'd turn it off and he'd fiddle with a few things, and he'd start it again and look at it. Whereas now, what you do is you bring your car in, and they open up the front door, they plug something in underneath the steering wheel, and they set the diagnostic machine up and running. So you're going straight into electronic digital diagnostics. And this is basically what DM is allowing us, the DM Insights is going to allow us to do. There are 3 stages on the front page. If you look at it, there's something related to the practice, there's your clinical data, and then you have a section related to patient compliance, etc. But if you can change your parameters, you can look at the time intervals, you can go in under the hood and look at specific things. So we'll just look at a few insights that I have here now. Okay, if we look first of all at braces, bracket debonding. Okay, so it's funny to see others using it this morning, and some of your patterns are exactly the same as mine, and some are very different. They think, wonder why. But if we look at our breakages, breakages are more likely the lower 6s in particular, and the 7s. Now, there's a difference between left and right on the upper. Why is that? Right? It will raise questions for you for you to think about and to start analysing. And most of our breakages are early in treatment, which is probably what you would expect. If you look at archwire disengagement, okay, the majority are on the lower 7s. No surprise there. But then you can further analyse it and say, okay, so we know it's on the 7s, but when is it most likely to happen? And what wires are we most likely to be in at that stage? And is there something else we can do to prevent that happening? If you look at our aligners, noticeable on seats. Again, no surprise, upper laterals. We all know the upper laterals are the problem area. And then we look at the timing of them. When is it most likely to happen? And as Philippe was pointing out earlier on, you can proactively go in and take measures to try and counteract that, either by sending out a message around that time, or by phoning them up to say, listen, everything going okay? Make sure you wear this, make sure you do that. If you look at the loss of attachments, the more evenly spread across the arches. But the timing, again, is quite early on. Around 5. What happens there? Is that tied in with when we begin to see problems with on seats? This is all data which it's early in stages, but it's going to build up. And you can look at it and analyze it for yourself. If we look at our retention protocol, if we look at what's happening here, the slight movements, the stability, you can change the time interval for it. So you can get a much better idea as to what is happening and what happens in your hands. And if you look at the noticeable on seats, because again, the lateral incisors, even in retainers, are the noticeable on seats. Even when there's supposed to be no active movement going on, they're the ones that are most likely to unseat. And then settling of the teeth. How much movement is going on? Now, again, it's only 2%. It's only 18 occurrences. But this is early on. And I think what DM Insights, as it becomes more ingrained into the system and as we use it more, what you're building up a wonderful database of information for yourself, for your own clinic, as to how we do things in our clinic. You're not depending on data which is coming from halfway around the world, from cases which were treated in a certain way by somebody else 6 years ago. This is real-time data from your clinic. It's blind, it's agnostic, and the value to this, to your clinical practice, as it goes on and as you use it more and more, is going to be invaluable.